to this episode of Mixed Media Monday. Today I'm using an old page from my art journal where I had just thrown some stencils on top of it, and then I went through my scraps bin and pulled out just some random pieces of paper that would coordinate well with the page that I had sitting there. The background here that I start off with in my journal, it doesn't really play a part in the final product, but what it does is it kind of establishes a color palette for me, and it kind of tells me, it helps me to decide what portions of the page are what components in the end. This as well, these scraps, I really like these leaves before I put them on, and now that I am putting them on and get to the end of the page, you don't really see the leaves so much anymore as a little bit of the texture underneath, and once again it helps me to define where to put certain spots of color. My next step after putting all my pieces together is to adhere the scraps down to the page, and I'm just doing that with a little bit of Mod Podge. I usually choose gel matte medium, so I'm not quite certain why I chose Mod Podge this time around. Maybe it was just to use it and no other reason. Because the scraps are cardstock rather than a slim paper, they were peeling and rolling and folding up, so I had to put a little bit of weight on them as I was doing it, and or else they wouldn't adhere down very well. So I stick all of the pieces of the green on, and then I go looking for my heat gun, I believe. So I've got the page all nicely planned out to figure out where I want that, glue everything else down, and away I go. So what you see here is just how the color ends up at the end of the piece. So all this pattern and all this color, it washes away into the background, which is perfectly fine. Because it wasn't a planned page to begin with, I'm perfectly happy with it just kind of helping me to establish color and location of color, and then washing away into the background. Then the elements that I choose for the top portion will actually stay at the top and work out really well. So now I'm taking my gelatos, and I kind of tried to color match quite a bit with these, and I think I did a pretty good job. They come out pretty well. And so because the inks that are on the papers underneath, they're all water-based, they're all going to move and shift as I add water to activate the gelatos, the colors in the gelatos. I'm just spraying the whole page down with water so that I get a nice easy wash, and then I activate all the different pieces. So the reason that I chose gelatos for this piece was that I hadn't bought my watercolor 2s, the Neocolor 2s yet, and also I really like gelatos. I like how they move under my fingertips, I like how they move under my brush, and all that stuff. It's really nice to find a product that you really enjoy using. But if I were at this point, now that I've got my Neocolor 2s and I've been playing with them quite a bit, I think at this point most of the time I've been choosing the Neocolor 2s just because they're really easy to use, and I really enjoy that you can blend them over and over again, whereas with the gelatos, once they solidify, they're mostly solid. There's not a lot of movement you're going to get out of them after they're done being activated. So smoothing it all out with my finger, spraying it with water, and then smoothing the color out with my finger, going through it all and making sure everything blends really nicely and smoothly. I still have the patterns in the background, but they are smudging a little bit with the water that I'm adding to the page, which is great. It really is exactly what I wanted. The next thing that I'm going to do is add more color to the edges of each of the page, like the scrap pieces that I've put on, and that's just to define the edge a little bit. Because they have ripped edges, I wanted the color differentiation and for you to see the ripped edge there. And this is all finger work. So it's just a matter of smoothing and rubbing and smoothing and rubbing and having your finger moist, and you get a lot of definition when between how wet or damp your finger is when you're moving these gelatos. If you want somebody who really uses gelatos well, and to watch someone on YouTube who is really fantastic with gelatos and makes you want to buy them immediately, go and watch Vicky. Oh, no one can say her name properly. It's Vicky Papa something or other, and I think she's from Greece. She's part of the Lemur Weber design team as well. You find them on YouTube. So after I hit that with the heat gun, I'm going to go back in with some stamps, and I wanted to use washi tape, but I didn't actually want to use washi tape. So I grabbed these Stampin' Up! Stamps, and I think this stamp set's called Tape It, but I'm not 100% certain. And my workshop's a mess, so I can't find the I can't find this stamp set at the moment. But so what I'm doing is I'm inking it up and I'm stamping it on, and I'm making it look like I've got washi tape all over my page, holding those scraps of paper on. These washi tape stamps will fade into the background as well. By the time that this page is finished, I could probably go over the top with another kind of random stamp or script stamp or something like that. But I left it as a very focal piece, as a very this is what this piece is, and there's no way that you can avoid the actual subject of the piece. So I go through, I use all this washi tape stamp until I'm happy, and then do it some more. I probably just could have flopped over and gone to, because I'm doing it all in black, I probably just could have gone to my washi tape bin and pulled out some random colors that I liked and thrown them on there. But I wanted this to stay as a mostly flat piece, and with adding the layers of paper it was becoming a little bit more fat than I had predicted. So using the stamps is exactly where I wanted to go with this. My next step is to take some gesso and dribble it on my page and then smooth it all out. And that makes all of this background actually go into the background. I know my camera went out of focus there, but it'll go back in. It's just being a little bit wonky at the moment. So yeah, so then the problem I was having is that I've got these giant textured circles on the surface below. So it was keeping the circles, and I didn't want that to happen. So I had to put a flat board underneath in order to prevent the circles from coming through on my page. And they still did just a little bit. I still have a couple circles in there, which if I were to add to this page right now, that's probably what I would do, is add circles to it and add stamps to it and really mix it all together a little bit more. I actually made this piece in January, and I'm just processing the videos now. And so the fact that I made the piece in January kind of, and can see things that I still need to do on it, tells me that I have grown a lot when it comes to how I create, and I've changed a lot when it comes to how I create, and that's just in 2 short months. So it'll be pretty amazing to look back and see how much I change between this past January and the next December, this coming December, because if I've changed so much in 3 months, where will I be in December? So I'm kind of excited about that. So I took my gelato and I went around the edge of that, and I took a distress stamp and with ink, distress ink, and I went around the edge of that just to create a little bit of definition on that circle. So what I'm writing is kind of like an old-fashioned advertisement, and it goes like this. At long last we have a sufficient supply. You can have one of your own. Take it with you wherever you go. No more saying, when I get around to it. The hard to come by round Tuits are now available to everyone, big and small. Now that you have your very own, so many of the things you said you needed a round Tuit for may just get done. So get to it, around Tuit. And this was kind of a funny thing because I've been sorting through my grandmother's belongings off and on, a box here and a box there. And in there I found this piece of paper that was kind of ripped and clipped, and I thought I would put that in here, but at the same time I have a heritage album that I'm going to be making in memory of her, and thought it would fit better in that one. So now I'm creating my own version of this round Tuit, all for my own book here. It's kind of been like a treasure find, going through old things, somebody else's old things, and I'm finding that although I'm emotional about it, I'm really enjoying the process of discovery. So I'm going to adhere everything down to this and add a little bit of definition along the edge of this with my finger and the gelato that I already used in the green. And then I will use my Mod Podge to put it down, to glue it down. Flip it on over, glue it down, and this is, when you have a big piece like this and it's just regular paper, it kind of warps and twists on you, so you kind of gotta work quick. And then I'm going to glue down the round Tuit, which is a heavier cardstock, but it's still, because it's a circle, it's still warping and twisting. And then I'm going to push it all down and smooth it all out and let it dry. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my, that's what I did. I put that on there and I let it dry overnight. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my black oil pastel, and I'm going to rub my finger in around there and make it a nice thick heavy dark line. And I really like the oil pastel effect, and I'll probably go and pick up some more oil pastels just because I enjoy them quite a bit. But right after this video I discovered the Stabilo pencil, so I've been using the Stabilo quite a bit more than the oil pastel. But I do like the permanency of the oil pastel, and find that if I hit it with the heat gun after I've got it to where I want it to be, then it changes just like an embossing powder. So you go from this really high gloss oil pastel type effect to a really nice matte finish when you hit it with the heat gun, and then it becomes a little bit more permanent, less smudgy. So now I'm just going to rub it with my finger and get it all nice and smooth. I love how oil pastels move under your finger. And it always seems like you need a little bit on your finger in order to get the rest of it to move the way that you want it to move. So there we go. We've got some shadow effect going on, and then I'm going to hit it with the heat gun just to make it more permanent. And then I'm going to go in with my Faber-Castell Pitt pen, and I'm going to add a little bit of detail. I didn't want a whole lot of detail because I wanted the focus to be on those top pages, but I did feel that it needed a little bit of detail. So I went in and I added some random stitching. So down here I added some cross stitch and some zigzag stitch, and along the edges of this page I add some more cross stitch, so it looks like all the pieces are kind of tacked together with a little bit of stitching and a little bit of tape and a little bit of color, and there's a lot of I guess eye differentiation between the pieces. And it does stay as a nice flat page for my book. And there you have it, around Tuit. We're just about to get into the still pictures, and the still pictures give a totally different look. I always find that the camera really doesn't do a piece justice. And here's all the different textures and colors and stuff like that, and the final product. Thank you for joining me for Mixed Media Monday.